Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another one of our videos. Today, we're going to be talking about parent coaching and services. Today, I'm here with our wonderful team who are going to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they do today. Nancy, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, but most of what I learned about autism comes from my daughter, who is now 29. I work primarily with parents.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for your time today. Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Amanda Bailey, and I'm a family support specialist in individual and family services at A&E. I work with parents around parent coaching, IEP reviews. My background is as a special education advocate and parent leadership professional. And then in my personal life, I'm the neurodivergent parent of two autistic children, 13 and 9 right now. So my group that I typically support is parents of children, parents of teens, and then also the parents of the transition age heading into adulthood.
Thank you so much. And Kelly.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Kelly Urban. I'm a senior manager in IFS at AA&E. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, so that's kind of what I do as well, and my background. I work primarily with parents of adults, so anyone from parents of adults 18 and up.
Thank you so much. And I guess I'll just introduce myself real quick. My name is Ryan Walsh. I work in the Individual Family Services Department at A&E, and I am a facilitation specialist. And I'm an autistic adult as well. So, to get into things, I guess I just want to ask you guys some questions, and you guys can kind of chime in as you see fit. So my first question is, what is parent coaching? How would you describe it? Somebody who doesn't know what it is.
I can start. So it's individualized, so usually one-on-one. So it'd be, one of us as the coach with one parent or family member. It could be a couple. It's really anyone who's supporting the autistic individual. And we're meeting for an hour, providing kind of individualized support around whatever concerns they're bringing. So we can maybe get into a little of the common topics. Really a chance to help a parent or caregiver understand their kid or adult kid through the lens of autism. Kind of work on building skills and problem solving and celebrating successes that their kid has had. Yeah, it's a little bit. I'll leave it there.
It's also an opportunity to hold space for people where they are on their journey, helping them understand autism and what it might mean for their child or teen at this point in their journey as well, and hopefully helping them come away with something to try, something to apply, some new piece of knowledge or strategy that might help them understand their child better or learn to listen to their child or teen and respect their experience too. So, how to learn from one another. Um,
Exactly. And often it might uh, revolve around helping the child to reduce their anxiety, making them more comfortable. So you build more trust in that relationship, how to communicate with your child and more effectively. Parents get very frustrated because they're not having the results that they want. So maybe helping them to understand better what their child wants and how you can come together there, uh, thereby increasing effectiveness and, more importantly, relationship, building self esteem, self awareness, self advocacy for your child, which are really lifelong skills.
Thank you all so much. And I think my next question is going to be, even more relevant to what you guys were kind of just introducing, especially you, Nancy. Uh, so what kind of topics can parents expect, or what kind of topics can parents bring to a coaching session? Because, like you said, there's just so many different things to cover.
Yeah, it's really anything, anything that the parent is concerned about, what's the most pressing topic? Is it that their child is completely isolated, lock themselves in their room and really not, um, that's how they deal with their anxiety? Or maybe the parents don't even see that as anxiety, right? Is it that they don't have any friends and they're really depressed or very anxious? Is it that, the parents and the child is fighting all the time? Is it a problem in their hygiene, their self-care? There's so many topics that we can get into. Not that we can solve them all, but we can try different things. We can understand it better and come away with some approaches that are affirming of the child and give the parents a sense of better understanding and compassion.
I'd say I also hear from the parents of children and parents of teens sometimes the topic about parenting on the same page and how do you co-parent this autistic child. And when people are coming at it from very different perspectives, especially when understanding a new diagnosis, I also hear from families around sibling dynamics and how to negotiate and navigate those issues. Sometimes I'll also support families with how to work with the school, how to learn to work with the school, trying to figure out what the right support might be for their child or their family. And then I'd say for the transition age, that 18 to 22 crowd, often it's how do we plan? How do we support our young adult as they're launching? How do we come up with a vision and support them in that? So those are the topics I commonly hear, but everything Nancy said and really anything under the sun, we're happy to sit and hold space for.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'll just add, I think so often the kind of core question I hear from parents is, how do I know that what I'm doing is the right thing? Or how do I know what's too much? Where do I step up? Where do I step back? And like Nancy said, there's no, it's not a, clear answer. It's a process and just kind of making space for them to explore that and, for us to help because we also have talked with so many parents and have lived experience. So just kind of offering a perspective that they may not be exposed to. Yeah.
How much to push and how much to step back? I think we hear 3 and at 33 across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can definitely speak for a lot of I think a lot of people at A&E staff when I know that something that we work on really hard is like creating space and being open and listening and validating. So I think that creating that environment is something you guys I'm sure do really well. And I guess along those lines, so what can a person, a parent specifically, kind of expect from a coaching session? How does a coaching session look? What's like the structure of it?
I think everyone, to some degree, everyone has their own style. Every coach has their own style. And it's also kind of taking in where the parent is at and what the parent is wanting. So very collaborative and personalized. With that said, I think what tends to happen, and at least in the majority of my sessions, is, the parent having the chance first and foremost to share, just to kind of bring us into what is happening. Of course, it's usually complicated because it's people's lives. But just trying to create that space so they can at least bring us in to understand and then sort of sort through a little bit, where do we start? Because, we can't tackle everything at once. So trying to lay out, maybe we'll work on or talk about this today, maybe this we can come back to, and then kind of dig more into it.
Great. I think that's a pretty robust discussion of how it is. Like it truly is like I would say like a very personalized experience. And I think that's like definitely a big benefit of the service that we offer is that we can really get into the weeds with a person and just kind of like really hear them out and figure out what the needs are and what the challenges are and how we can address them on a one-to-one basis instead of like, a cookie cutter approach, which is something I think is really good about the service. So, and so I guess as a follow-up to that, is coaching like a one-time thing or is it ongoing? Like, how does that work over time?
It really can be anything that the parents want. It can be one, and then I might hear 3 months later from the same parents. I had a session just yesterday with somebody I hadn't spoken to in 6 months. So it really depends. And then others, it's very regular. So it really is based on what the parent can benefit from, how much support they need, and whether or not, they're available. Maybe they have other supports. And this is really, a one-time, type of service. Often it's more, but it really is customizable.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was just going to add, I guess, a little into how it can look. There's people I work with, which I think of as more, they're not necessarily navigating a particular crisis or particular issue, so to speak, at that point. So it's more like continuing to be there with them, and because things are still coming up, right? So that's where like some of the learning can happen, right? When you're not in the midst of the crisis, the parent, the kid, yeah, and then again, celebrating what's working. And I think just having a chance to share those things there's not always a space for that. So yeah, that might be somebody who's coming in on a kind of regular basis, or it might be, oh, this big issue happened, let's schedule a session. So we can kind of do what works.
Great. And I think that's something, I think we're all pretty familiar with getting requests for like IEP reviews and things like that. What would you say is the difference between parent coaching and IEP review? Because it's a question that we get a lot.
Yeah. Parent coaching is a 1 hour window of time where we work one-to-one with a family. An IEP review is really a 2 hour process where we take in the recent evaluation reports and the IEP, and our staff read it offline for an hour. And then we meet with the parent or the caregivers for an hour to really dig into the document and talk through what's working, what could be added, what to try next. So it's a really more hands-on with regard to the special education piece and figuring out what they can do and the advocacy strategies from there. So while we might do, meeting prep with a family during a parent coaching session, with an IEP review, we're really focusing on that document and making sure that it works for that autistic child or that autistic teen.
Great. And I think another thing that we get asked very commonly is kind of, we get asked for support groups, we get asked for like parent support environments. And I guess something that's really important to identify in this process is like, how is parent coaching different from a parent support group or a parent support type of thing?
Yeah, they're very different. I run parents of high school girls support group, girls and non-binary. And then also I run a parents of transition age youth support group, so anywhere from say 18 to 22. And then those same parents might have parent coaching with me. So when you're in a parent support group, you're in a community most of the time for the very first time of other parents who really understand why you parent the way you parent, why your child is struggling the way they are struggling, or developing the way they are developing. And you can celebrate those successes, those small steps that the outside world doesn't understand and doesn't celebrate it. And it's so important to celebrate those achievements, those milestones, or those attempts that the child is making, like let's say going on their first job interview, or initiating a social interaction, or trying a new food, or increasing their hygiene, care. So while all the families are different and the children are in somewhat different places, there's so much commonality of understanding that, there's no yardstick here. The child is not going to develop in the way that the neurotypical world expects them to. And then this group has, a much better understanding and empathy and compassion, and a lot of good ideas and suggestions too. So it's a wonderful community to be in, and over the course of 8 weeks to connect with and share with. But you're not going to have a full hour of a clinician's time. In fact, in the support group, I try to talk as little as I can and get everyone else to talk as much as they can, but I do provide that safety and support of making the group available to everybody and offering things when I feel it's helpful.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that oh, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, Ryan. I was gonna say, just to build on, I agree with everything you said, Nancy. Yeah, I think in the coaching, that we just can go into someone's experience more. I mean, that to me, that's part of it. It's probably similar, I don't know, mechanisms, similar things going on, but just by nature of it being a group, you can only go into things so much, just kind of time-wise and otherwise. So yeah, I think it's in coaching, I feel like the parent really has a chance to get into and get that direct feedback and talk through things in a way that they probably don't have the same opportunity to in a group, or to the same extent.
And sometimes we're navigating with folks who may not feel comfortable participating in a group, maybe yet, or just that isn't their thing. So talking to someone one-on-one may be more comfortable for them than diving into a group. But we often see people participate in both, or they might move back and forth between those spaces.
Yeah, I definitely think it's common that people access many of our services at a time. And I also think it's just great that people can find a sense of community in the support groups and also in the parent coaching. And it's kind of just, being covered in different ways. Like the parent coaching is going to be more of that one-on-one, like personalized experience where a person can kind of really get into more detail about the things that they're concerned about or the things that they want to work on. And then the support groups is more like, where can I get like feedback and like communication with people who are in a community that's similar to mine, who have a perspective that's like mine. And I think it's good that we can facilitate that environment for people. And I guess, when we're talking about parent coaching and IEP reviews and support groups and things like that, what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to figure out what the right fit is for them?
Well, this might be a little bit of a punting the question, but we have INR, an INR service information and resource call. So I think that's one opportunity, to be able to talk with us there and, get our kind of guidance. We can, describe the options and help them kind of think through what's best. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm curious what Nancy and Amanda would say.
I would say it could go either way. I often will have a parent coaching session, and then it will be helpful to know, oh, you would really benefit from this group that I'm leading or Amanda's leading, and help them see what the benefit of a group is. And then sometimes they're in my group and then they sign up for a parent coaching session because they already know me and they want to dive in deeper. So it can really, there's no one right way, whatever they're comfortable with. As Amanda said, there are people who aren't comfortable in a group. So their way is going to be through one-on-one services. And I do most of my parent coaching over video, but I have some that aren't comfortable on video, so we do it over the phone. So we do what's best for the parent or the client.
I think you both covered that very well. And the nice thing is the services are here. Our staff are here. So if you try something and that's not quite the right fit, that's okay. We have something else to offer, and the needs will change over time. Sometimes this is the right moment for a one-to-one. I just learned this information. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then it's okay. Let's help you with this moment. And then over time that might shift. But the community here, the A&E community is here at any point to welcome people wherever they want to access it.
Yeah, I think Amanda really hit the nail on the head with it as well, because I think that as a community, we're generally always here. And if something doesn't work out the first way, we're always willing to work with you to get you to where you need to be. If your entry point wasn't exactly where you needed to be, we're always going to put in that effort and that time to get you to the place that you need to be at, because it's something that I think a lot of the members of our community care about a lot, is making sure people get where they need to go. So I think it's really good that we can facilitate an environment like that. And just to wrap up here, I have one more question for you guys, which is, what do you like best about working with parents? Because I'm sure there are so many different experiences that you can have in sessions like this.
I'll jump in. I really enjoy this work. It's fulfilling for me to be able to connect with another parent, as I needed that when I was raising my daughter, and for people to feel like they're understood and that I can give them some guidance that I wish that I had had. It's very fulfilling, and I like helping people.
I was thinking something similar. The word gratifying came to my mind. I mean, I think it's extremely gratifying, and it is really a privilege to be able to get to know people, get to know their lives. For parents to let us in, because it can be quite vulnerable. And sometimes it's like we've never told this to someone, or we don't have anyone else to share these things with, or people don't get it. So I think I just really feel appreciative of the opportunity. And then again, it's like celebrating, the little things. It just, I come to feel like really even just in one session, right, you kind of recognize like, wow, that's really amazing that happened, or you did that, or just to, give people that support feels really good.
It's also nice to recognize that, just as hard as things might be in a moment, just that growth and celebrating those tiny wins, sometimes slicing it very thinly, but also being able to honor that the parents we work with are often doing a very good job. And there's no one else who sees that and holds that for them to say, no, no, you're doing a really good job with a very hard thing sometimes. So being able to be there and witness that growth is just such it's, as Kelly said, it's a privilege, it's an honor. But I'd say too, just being able to, as the others have said, being able to give back in a way too, for me, that someone was there for me to receive me when I was learning about all of this. And I'm so glad and happy to be able to do that for others.
I just want to say it's really great to hear all the different reasons why you enjoy working with parents. And I think that another thing that's just really valuable is the personal experience you all bring as individuals when you do these as well, because I think a big part of what we do here at A&E is driven by the people that we have here. And your contribution as individuals, as people, and your experience is something that I'm sure, is very valuable to the people who attend the coaching sessions and everything else. So I just want to thank you all so much for what you do. Thank you for your time here today. I hope that you all enjoyed watching this video. And if you're looking to reach out for any of the services mentioned in this video, you can click on any of the links in the description. So thank you all so much. And thank you to our interviewees here today.